When people move to Idaho Falls, Idaho, they are surprised. Sometimes they're pleasantly surprised, and sometimes they're not so pleasantly surprised. So in this video, we're going to talk about what to expect when moving to Idaho Falls, Idaho. I have a list of 5 things, and all 5 of these things are things that I regularly hear from people moving from out of state. So I thought I would share it for other people who are thinking to move to our beautiful state of Idaho so you can be fully prepared of what Idaho Falls is really like. You ready? Let's get started. What's up guys? My name is Annika Wilder. I'm a local realtor here in the Eastern Idaho area. If you're thinking about moving here, whether it's next week or even next year, give me a call, shoot me a text, send me an email, or even schedule a Zoom call and I'll be happy to help. I love helping people learn about this beautiful state of Idaho. I also love helping people in real estate, whether it's here in Idaho or if you have a house to sell in another state. I'm partnered with realtors all across the nation and I could definitely hook you up with a wonderful realtor there too. All right, should we get to our list? Number 1, everything is really centrally located in regards to your grocery stores, your car washes, lots of car washes, and doctor's offices, movie theaters, restaurants. There's just a few pockets of Idaho Falls, like I'll show you here. Idaho Falls is in this area downtown, and then Ammon is over here, and kind of in this middle is the heart of the commercial amenities, like I said, doctor's offices and restaurants and things to do, etc. It's all right here in the middle. If we zoom out and go to the outskirts of Idaho Falls, it's more of Bonneville County. As we zoom out here, more in this area are farmland, housing, just newer and older subdivisions, couple golf courses, but there's really not a lot of restaurants or things to do in the outskirts of Idaho Falls. Now, with that said, that's changing. Idaho Falls is continually growing, and eventually we will have amenities on the outskirts of town, but right now it's really all kind of in that central location of the area. So sometimes people are surprised to see, oh, so if I just travel out this way, I'm only gonna see some neighborhoods and farmland, and it gets more rural the more you go out, but really everything you need is kind of in that same spot. So what that means is there's not a lot of walkable neighborhoods. If you're looking to live in a neighborhood that's just a couple minutes walk down from a coffee shop, you really want to stay around the numbered streets, the lettered streets, and downtown if you want to be able to walk to those amenities. Otherwise, if you're looking in a $500,000 plus established neighborhood, that's gonna be on the outskirts, and there's not really anything that's walkable except for amazing walking paths and beautiful mature trees and sidewalks around the neighborhood, but there's not a place that you can walk to from that neighborhood, if that makes sense. Also along these lines, I had somebody say recently that they were driving around the area as they're discovering whether or not this is the place they want to be, and they drove just 5 minutes down the road, and it felt like they were driving for a very long time because very quickly it became very spread out and rural as they headed towards the mountains. And they thought, oh, okay, I'm really out here. In their mind, they thought maybe they were 20 minutes away, but then when they flipped around and drove back to our meeting location, it was only a 4 or 5 minute drive. So it feels like things can be far away, but even when you live out in the outskirts, you're actually really 5, 10, max 15 minutes away from everything you need. Number 2, if you move to Idaho Falls, be prepared that missionaries will probably stop by your door, offer to help you move, and even your neighbors will help you move. And there will be a lot of different kind of gift exchange during that Christmas time, which we're headed into. This is something that I had a client tell me that, you know, we didn't do this in the state that I'm coming from. She said that as soon as she moved in, she had neighbor after neighbor after neighbor drop off cookies and welcome gifts, and they were so friendly to her, and she wasn't used to it. She liked it, but she didn't know what to make of it because it wasn't a culture that she was used to in the town that she came from. Now, with that said, it does depend on the neighborhood. We do have a very friendly, inviting community here in Eastern Idaho, but some neighborhoods aren't as friendly as others, so it really just depends. So I can't say you will get 100% cookies and gifts when you move in, but it's very common here that neighbors will introduce themselves, help you to move, and then missionaries from the Church of Jesus Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints might knock on your door and offer to help you move as well. Number 3, Idaho is pretty casual. If you're relocating here for a position, I would definitely ask what the dress code is here, because you might be surprised that it will be more casual than a position that you might be coming from out of state. Business casual is very popular out in Idaho Falls, leaning more on the casual side than on the business and professional looking side. Even weddings, I have gone to several Idaho weddings where people are in plaid shirts, jeans, and cowboy boots, sometimes just t-shirts. And you know, people still dress up for weddings and for churches and things like that, but just know that there is actually a good mixture of casual attire and formal attire at what you would think would be formal events. Because of this casualness, and maybe it's the culture, maybe it's a small town, I'm not sure why, but there's actually not any high-end stores here. So if you are someone that likes to shop name brand clothing and higher end clothing, the highest end store is probably Dillard's in the mall. We do have a Ross and a TJ Maxx that does have some name brand clothes, but we don't have, you know, like a Tiffany's jewelry store. We don't have a Dolce & Gabbana or any of these other name brands that I can't even think. I'm out of practice because we just don't have them here. So most people, if they're looking for higher end products in regards to your clothing, they'll travel to Salt Lake City or Boise to get those things. And remember, if you're coming to visit, things will be closed on Sundays. There will still be some grocery stores, a bar or two, a couple restaurants open on Sunday, but for the most part, there's a lot of things that are not open on Sunday. So plan your trip accordingly and know that you might want to call ahead before you show up to a place that actually is closed on a Sunday. Number 4, if you're traveling to the outskirts like the towns of Rigby or Shelley, Uber and Lyft might not be available if you need a ride. I had given a ride to a client, I was showing around houses, and I dropped him off at a central location, and he said, "Oh, don't worry, I will get an Uber back to my campsite," which was about an hour north. And I dropped him off, and about 5 minutes later, he calls me and he says, "There's no Uber out here. There's no Lyft. There's not even a taxi." And this was new to me. I didn't know. I've come from bigger cities and I didn't realize that Uber and Lyft and taxis just weren't as available here in eastern Idaho, specifically in the other parts like Rigby and things like that. Number 5, last but not least, I want to talk about HOAs, the homeowners associations. I get called all the time from people saying, "I want this and this and this in a house," and I absolutely do not want an HOA. I don't want anyone telling me what I can do on my property and in my house, which I totally understand. Most of the time, the reason why people are so against HOAs is because they're coming from a state that is highly, highly regulated. I'm talking about drone footage and cameras and crazy prices for HOAs. And yes, we do have some neighborhoods with HOAs, but on average, you're looking at anywhere from $150 to $200 a year for an HOA. So it's extremely affordable. It's not as regulated. Some of the stricter neighborhoods might be in $400 or $500 a year for an HOA, and the things that they are restrictive on are, not being able to work on your car in the driveway, or not being able to park a camper in front of your house, but you can park a camper behind a fence. Your shop, if you have a shop, needs to match the same style and coloring of your house. So there's some things like that, and then the HOA will take care of the common grounds when you walk in or drive into the neighborhood, and they want to upkeep that area to make it look nice. That's what it is primarily for, is those common areas, and make sure the neighborhood is well taken care of. So some people like HOAs for that reason, because you're not going to see rundown cars or campers and projects all outside and things that just don't look as well kept together. So there's a balance here. If you're looking for a property without an HOA, we definitely have loads of neighborhoods and bigger lots outside of town, and some small neighborhoods inside of town that do not have HOAs at all. And then we do have some nice neighborhoods that do have HOAs. For the most part, when people move here from out of state, this is something that they're pleasantly surprised about, is that the HOAs don't cost a lot of money and they're not as strict as some of the HOAs that I've seen in other states. Well, that's it for this video. I'm just going to keep it short and sweet today, but just know that Idaho Falls really is a beautiful place to live. We have all 4 seasons and people are so kind here. You will get a couple grumpy people here and there. I'm not going to promise pure bliss or zero crime, but it is a really great place to live for families starting a business, relocating for job, to retire if you like the snow, or even to live here half the time, which I know a lot of people do. And if you're new to my channel and you want to know all there is to know about life in Idaho Falls and the surrounding areas, make sure you hit that subscribe button and that notification bell. That way you'll be the first to know about all things life in Idaho Falls. And I put out a video every single week. And if you have any other video suggestions, things that you want to see that maybe I haven't covered yet in Idaho Falls or any of the surrounding towns, just send me a message or text me. All my information is in the description below and I'll be happy to help. We'll see you next time. Bye.